My name is Grant Caillouet. I'm going into my fourth year of seminary, which is called my C2 or Configuration 2 year. So that means that I have 3 left, including this one. What led me to discern priesthood was a few ordinary things that happened throughout my life. I was going to a Catholic high school growing up, and I always loved the priest and being around the priest, but I never really thought about it until later on when I was at LSU. When I had great priests like Father Ruben Dykes, Father Andrew Merrick, Father Josh Johnson. They were really influential in my life, but it was really after I graduated LSU that I looked back and I saw all these great men in my life who I wanted to imitate and I wanted to be like. And there were certain characteristics that they had and certain opportunities that they had to influence my life that could really only be done through holy orders, through the priesthood. And so that was some of the initial thought of why I started to discern, and the rest is kind of history, as they say. If I could have any saint as my spiritual director, it would be St. John of the Cross, because there's a great story that I've heard over and over about St. Teresa of Avila. She was an experienced Carmelite in Spain, and there was a young man who was recently ordained. He was, I think he was celebrating his Mass of Thanksgiving, so his first Mass as the presiding priest. And the way that this priest celebrated Mass, St. Teresa of Avila was there, and she was so moved by it that she immediately knew that he had to be her spiritual director, and it was St. John of the Cross. 2 of them come to mind. The first is I got to be the sponsor for my sister's confirmation. She's a nurse out in Austin, Texas, and we grew up really close. We're only 14 months apart from each other, and so whenever I got to go over to Austin to be her sponsor, it was a really good moment for me. I was very proud of her. She's a great young woman, and she just recently got a great job out in Austin too. So I'm very proud of her for both of those things. And the second moment that comes to mind is that I got to be at the Pope's installation Mass in Rome just in May, at the end of May. We had some great, gracious hosts in the Legion of Christ that we stayed with, and they ended up sacrificing some of their own tickets to distribute communion for the Pope's Mass, and it was a great experience. I got to experience with some of my classmates from Notre Dame. So those 2 things are kind of the highlights from last year. So the advice that I would give somebody discerning God's will is to, it might be obvious, it might not be, but to frequent the sacraments, because first and foremost, God wants us to be holy. God wants us to live a life like the saints, and so He gave us these sacraments to have a life of holiness, primarily Eucharist and confession, so that we're constantly looking at ourselves with Him. We can constantly look at our lives and how they affect His heart, and so we go to confession if any of those moments in our life kind of are in discord with that. But we also of course go to the Holy Eucharist to be an even greater communion, and so that whenever we do fall or we have great joys, we can experience both of them with Him. How long would I survive a zombie apocalypse? Probably not too long. I never did Boy Scouts. I grew up in like the suburbs of Houston, Texas, so we didn't have too much experience of like outdoors. I don't own any guns. I don't have any experience with hunting, bar maybe 1 or 2 times with some cousins and some uncles, and so I don't think super long. I would have to rely on the generosity of some of the people I've met over the last couple of years to take care of me. So I'm gonna give myself like 3 months, I think. Yeah. I'm gonna echo my answer over the last couple of years. I think that the greatest thing that can get in the way of my own discernment is kind of holding the priesthood, holding the cool things that surround the priesthood kind of higher than the Lord's will for me. So now that I'm getting closer to ordination, only 3 years now, I start to kind of fantasize and look towards those things that are attractive, like what the priest wears and the cool offices that some of the priests have, and different silly things like that. But oftentimes I can kind of desire that more than doing what the Lord wants me to. And so please continue to pray for me that any of those obstacles, that they're only just kind of passing. And so the only thing that my heart really wants is to do the Lord's will. So continue to pray that can be purified.